Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Mokonoman at YouTube with another model video. Today we're going to be building, reviewing and finishing the Double Zeta Gundam 1/300 scale Gashapon line of Bandai model kits. This was gifted to me by Japanese Sandman quite a while ago. Looking around the box, we've got all these different examples of the kits that do appear from the anime in this, that potentially can feature in this small box. I guarantee you that Japanese Sandman really wanted the Q-Ballet, didn't score it, and I got this very lucky second. The interesting thing about some of the Bandai lesser known catalogued lines outside of the grades is there's these short-term kits that come out for a period of time when the anime is fairly new or going through a anniversary or whatnot, normally fairly cheaply made for anything that's under the 1/144 scale. And looking at the box and the tooling, I would hazard a guess somewhere around the late 80s bordering onto the 90s when this was issued. Having a closer look at the couple of handfuls of these tiny runners, the injection molding and the tooling is fairly shoddy and less to be desired. I'm guessing it would have came with a bit of gum, or maybe sold from the 1 to 200 yen mark as a quick snap together for a young kid. The properties do allow for a snap fit. However, I used glue and found the two halves do misalign ever so slightly. The flash lines are quite heavy, lots of hollow parts behind the arms, shoulders and knees. The sinks where the plastic falls in or is ejector pinned out is quite deep. The detail is fairly shallow, almost nothing here to work with regarding painting, and let's just not consider it where any of these faults lying if it's going through a panel line or an actual piece of detail. Ideally, I wanted to do this as a very quick build and paint in a single day to create content, though the more I explored this, the more interesting it got in the weird proportions, the sculpt, and overall how it looks compared to its 80s 1/144 counterpart and later kits, plus the appearance in the anime. This version, the Barzam, does not even appear on the box, and I have to research the name, the appearance and this color scheme just to assemble it and paint it. This toy model also does not appear in any catalogues that I can find, and it's unknown how many kits were included in the line that you can collect in total, as I couldn't find marketing material bits. What I did was started with two halves that would interconnect and plug into a point of articulation like the upper thighs or the arms, glue them together with plastic cement, allowed it to dry, and fill in the seams with either straight up putty or Mr. Dissolved putty. The sinks and the hollow sections were filled with milliput to go absolutely flat and make a basic believable toy, allowed to dry and sanded, polished, covered in primer via airbrush and inspected for further imperfections until it went through a second and yes, a third round of putty and sanding to get as a basic clean look as humanly possible. Now, getting into the realm of collecting, evaluating, reselling these sort of toys, as that's the market I'm entering in. If you're to visit Japan, Akihabara, Denden Town, any second-hand selling anime store, you'll see these bins outside the front of the business or along the floor in the aisles full of all sorts of strange junk, from keychains to small pouches and even incomplete or worn out old toys. This may be where it's come from, and they range anywhere from 1 to 500 yen. It's a novelty item that's completely lost media or a lost piece of model, so if you're collecting something from that period such as Double Zeta Gundams or a certain anime line, it's very valuable to you to finish a collection, as Japanese Sandman was trying to do. Where it's given to me, it's a novelty that it nearly doesn't exist, and it has very interesting tooling. I've got the interesting point of view of putting it together, analysing it, taking photos, and sharing it with you lot, that what you may be missing out when you're looking at kits that are purely exported to Western countries, or what can only be found on very popular review sites or import services like a AmiAmi Hobby Search. Kits are also pre-coloured, snapped together pretty easily, and more associated as the Gundam hobby in toy collecting and finishing the toy yourself, rather than traditional scale modelling where chemicals, putties, sanding and hand tools and techniques are used to finish the model. So there's also the appeal there. The model was completed after airbrushing. I would apply each lacquer colour, the lighter colours like yellow and whatnot first, and cover the surface with masking tape and liquid mask to get the right pattern going. Once dry, then I was able to build up the blues and the dark blue, utilizing reference pictures that I've found on Gundam Wiki and around Google. As this is a traditional 80s style vintage gunpla, there is a little bit of articulation that you can just do a 180 spin of some of the limbs, except for the knee, which can bend a bit. It's very tight and clunky due to the poor injection molding and feet, though something this tiny is definitely pretty interesting and fun. It may not look very defined or interesting, but that's how shallow the detail is, and the only way you're going to make that yellow pop is an early layer of lacquer color and cutting it with some form of masking. I got this in a care package many years ago and have rubbished it from how badly it's injection molded all the way to how it pretty much holds no collector's value, but due to the absolute novelty and interesting its small size and it's still being playable like a toy, I absolutely love it. It's a fantastic gift that is specially found in a secondhand store or a weirder part of Japan, and Japanese Sandman knows me very well in pulling it out. Would I recommend it for someone to build? If you are interested in this particular anime or collecting the weirdest corners of the Gundam corners, or especially vintage kits or lost media model kits and anime bits of items, which is a whole rabbit hole and community in itself, trying to hunt these things down and document it and share it in video form or picture form on the internet, and is an absolute must to keep some of these items alive once they're built, consumed and disposed of, which is a very important responsibility for us as toy collectors, or even worse, modelers who consume these. It's the least we can really do. Again, this video is just a quick turnover. Did I put too much effort into this? Definitely yes. The finish is mediocre, very cool. Happy to put it on my shelf with some of my other weirder builds, and I had a lot of fun putting it together and just doing something that's completely different and something I've never attempted before. I've already been known to build and have a bunch of other smaller Gundam kits, from the half scale to the ones added to noodle cups. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, stay tuned for further content, and we'll catch you guys next time. See you later.